I did something pretty big on my mom's husband's 60th birthday recently, and both he and my mother were pretty upset with me, but my siblings and I really don't think that we did anything that bad because in comparison to what he has been doing all along, how he has been lying to us, I think this is practically nothing. Besides, the rest of the family, although they do believe that all the drama was not called for, don't seem to think that I've done anything inherently wrong. So it's hard for me to believe that I'm the one who needs to apologize in the situation. But anyway, that's what my mother wants me to believe. And I'm kind of at odds with her right now, but I don't want to lose her either. So I don't know what to think. The past couple of years have been pretty complicated, so that doesn't help either. Basically, 8 years ago, I lost my father to pancreatic cancer. He had been struggling for a while, and even with treatment, there was very little hope, and we knew it. So we were prepared for it, but even then, we were all gutted. I have two older brothers. I'm the youngest of three siblings, and I was the closest to my father, so I was especially affected, and I was the one who stayed with my mom. Started working from home to help her out, and for 2 years I stayed back with my mother to help her sort her life out. But of course, eventually I had to leave because I got offered a better job, and my mother told me that I had to take it because that's what my dad would have wanted. And I couldn't stay here with her forever. So I took the job, I moved out of state, and since then I got back home for the holidays, and I try to make it back home at least one weekend every month. And so do my brothers, so we can all spend some time together as a family. We have made this ritual to stay close to each other because family has always been very important to us. That's what our father taught us, and I thought that it was important to my mom as well. But right now, I just don't know what to say, given how she's been behaving. All of this actually started changing when she started dating her husband. Let's call him Nathan. And that was 2.5 years ago. She introduced him to us when they had been together for almost 4 months and told us that they were going to be moving in together soon. She also said that they had thought about it and they wanted to get married eventually, and they just wanted me and my brothers to prepare for it mentally. And I tried my best to accept it because obviously I wanted my mother to be happy. And if she was going to be happy with him, then that's what I wanted for her. The only problem that my brothers and I had with the situation was that we felt like they were moving way too fast because they had been together for only a few months and they were already going to be moving in together and were talking about marriage. We tried to tell our mom how we felt, but she told us that she was getting older and said that when it was right, she just knew it, so we didn't need to worry about it, and that was fair enough, so we didn't push it. But slowly, the more we started getting to know Nathan, the more we realized that he was not the right fit for our family because there was something very off about him right from the beginning. My brothers and I agreed that he never seemed too keen to have us around after he moved in with our mom, and he never made an effort to get to know us. Though we tried to make friends with him, he was very aloof and distant. And another thing that we noticed was that whenever he would actually talk, it was only about himself, and he never seemed interested in what anybody else had to say, not even our mom. He just seemed very full of himself, but that was our problem with him. And our mothers seemed happy enough with him, so we didn't say anything, and eventually they got married about a year back. But after that, things got even worse because for whatever reason, after he got married, he started to think that he could say things about my father. And that was unacceptable, both for me and my brothers, but my mother, I don't know why, always defended him. Though it was very clear that he was constantly trying to belittle my father and show himself as the bigger man. Like I said, he had always been full of himself, But after he got married, I think he got way too comfortable and started to believe that now, since he was part of the family, he could say and do whatever he wanted and we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So, whenever we got together as a family, he would make weird remarks about how my father was great, but then start narrating stories to portray himself as the bigger and better guy. And he would do this in a bigger way if there happens to be other relatives around, and I don't think anybody likes that. On several occasions, my brothers and I even tried to steer the topic of conversation to something else because we did not want him putting our father down, obviously. We have fought with our mother over this in the past, but she thinks that we're just overreacting and we're reading too much into the situation because she doesn't say anything problematic about what he says, although we do. And just for some context, I think I should tell you guys that both my dad and Nathan have served in the military. At least that's what Nathan claimed, but in different ways. My dad was a military veterinarian for the K9 unit, and he would even go on field, and he was quite respected and well known in his field. As for Nathan, he claimed that he had actually served his time in the military and even fought in Iran, and on several occasions he had narrated stories of his bravery, how he had fought against the enemy troops and saved his life along with the life of his own people. He's a good storyteller, so in the beginning we never had a reason not to believe him, but I did have my doubts because for all his stories about the military, there was never any tangible proof of it. Like, he never had any uniforms or badges or anything to show for his time in the military. And I had even asked about it, just out of curiosity, in the beginning, and he told me that he never brings it out because he likes to stay humble and also because he has PTSD from whatever had happened earlier, no matter how much of a brave face he puts on. So he doesn't like to bring those things out for everyone to see because it's personal. I never asked him about it again, but it always sounded fascinating, even though he claimed to have PTSD and said that was the reason that he didn't bring out any memorabilia from his time in the military. He never seemed to have a problem talking about it all the time in front of other people, especially if it meant that he would be able to crack the same joke that he had cracked so many times by claiming that he was the actual vet in the family, comparing himself to my father. Nobody actually found it, but people chuckled, though my brother and I never did. But anyway, a couple of weeks ago, we had come back home and we were just having dinner together with a couple of our friends and family members to celebrate my brother's engagement. And naturally, Nathan started talking about himself again. And this time, he decided to award himself the Bronze Star. That's a huge deal. Even I know that as a civilian, and that's when I started to think that there was something very fishy about what he was saying, because for all the stories that he's told us, he has never mentioned a Bronze Star, and I think if it was true, he would have brought it up at some point because he obviously loves to talk about himself. So anyway, nobody brought it up, but later on, I decided to speak about it with my brother, and they said that they did not buy it either, but they didn't have anything to claim otherwise. So they had let it go because they didn't want to make a big deal out of it. That was that. But for some reason, I just couldn't seem to let that go. And I don't know why, but that was kind of the last straw for me. So a few days after that, I decided to make a phone call to the Veterans Association with regards to him. And guess what I found out? Let alone having a Bronze Star, there was no record of him ever having served in the military at all. Honestly, I wish I could say that I was shocked, but in reality, I just felt like I was confirming something that I had known all along, because from the way that he would narrate the stories, I knew that there was something very rehearsed about the whole thing. But what really annoyed me was the fact that he had been using this all along to put my father down and put himself on a pedestal, knowing that he has been lying through his teeth. Obviously, I informed my brothers about it immediately, and they told me that we had to confront him, but I had a better idea. I knew that we were going back home again in a couple of days for his 60th birthday party, since my mother was making a huge deal out of it and she was throwing a pretty big party. So I told them that I wanted to announce it there, because for quite a while he has been insulting my father and putting him down based on a bunch of lies. And we've been putting up with it simply because I don't want to upset my mother. So now I feel like she deserves to know that she got married to a fraud. He deserves to be humiliated because whatever had happened was just unacceptable. That was my plan. I carried it out. And on the day of his party, I showed up, and along with my brothers, we made the announcement about whatever we had found. And I expected my mother to be surprised, but instead, she just seemed to be angry about the drama that I had created. She asked me and my brothers to leave and not ruin the evening even more than I already had. And we did. Later on, we found out that most of the guests left after that, with the exception of a couple of friends of my mom's and Nathan's. And yes, I had said most of our relatives thought that we had just done the whole thing in a very dramatic way, which was a bit unnecessary. But apart from that, they didn't see anything inherently wrong with what we had done, which my mother disagrees with. Because one day after the party, she called me and my brothers to the house to confront us about what had happened the previous evening and talk things out with us, and that did not go too well. The thing is, we were genuinely expecting her to show some degree of surprise about what we had told her. But when we went over to talk to her, it seemed like she had already known about all of this. When we went to the house, Nathan was not there, which was unusual because he was almost always there since he was retired now, and he made money through trading, which meant that he was mostly at home unless he was out with his friends. So when we got there and asked about him, our mother told us that he had decided to stay away for as long as we would be here because we had already humiliated him enough. And he did not want anything to do with us, and she couldn't even blame him because we really had crossed the line. She started telling us that she had always had a feeling that we did not like Nathan, but going out of our way to insult him like that was just wrong. And she expected us to apologize to both of them publicly, just like we had insulted them publicly. I found that shocking, and then I asked her why she was not more shocked about the information that we had revealed instead of acting like what we had done was so wrong, while completely ignoring what we had told her. Then she started to seem a little uncomfortable, and after a little bit of hemming and hawing, she finally told us that she had known all along that he had never been in the military, so it didn't come as a surprise to her. But that was a huge shock to us, because we couldn't believe that she had let him talk our father down, knowing all along that he had never done any of those brief things that he had claimed to have done. Then she started trying to explain herself, which made it even worse, because basically her reason to help him hide his secret was that she thought it would help us respect and like him more if he had a background similar to our father, and she thought that we would feel safer with him, that we would feel more comfortable with him. But as it turns out, it had the exact opposite effect, and with good reason, because he was nothing like our dad. He was all the things that my dad hated in people: arrogant, conceited, worst of all, a huge liar. Obviously, my brother felt betrayed. But I feel like when she said that to us, and when I finally realized that my mother hadn't just moved on, she had decided that she was fine with somebody insulting our father's legacy. I couldn't deal with that, and I felt like I was the one who had been betrayed the most, more than anybody else, because I was the one who had stayed back with my mom after my dad's passing, and I couldn't believe that she would do this to us, especially my father. So now, obviously, I'm very confused about what I want to do here, because I honestly cannot think of a way where I can possibly be the bad guy here. I really don't think that I owe her any apology, let alone Nathan. I hate that guy. I never even want to see him again. But the thing is, I don't hate my mom. In spite of everything that has happened, I really just feel bad for her because clearly something has gone terribly wrong along the way, and that's why she feels like she has to put up with this guy. My brothers are both just as confused as I am, and we are in a terrible situation right here. Because we really don't want to lose our mother, but she has made it very clear to all of us that if we do not apologize to her and Nathan, then there is no way that she's going to be keeping in touch with us because what happened at the party was unacceptable to her. She doesn't think that she can forgive and forget, and neither can Nathan. So moving on and pretending that none of this ever happened is not an option. It's just out of the question. And for us, apologizing to either of them is not an option because, I mean, why would we even do that? So, right now, we are just at a dead end. We don't know what to do about any of this. And here's the thing, when my dad passed away, he had asked all three of us siblings to take care of each other and of our mother, to stick together as a family, and really want to live up to that promise. That's why we have been so patient and so quiet. That's why we have dealt with everything with such dignity and maturity. Because we don't want our family to fall apart. And I'm not talking about Nathan. I'm talking about three of us and our mother, and I still don't want our family to break. But if my mother's not going to care about the legacy that my father has left behind, if she's just going to let anybody insult it, walk all over it, then I don't know what to say. It's hard for me, but I might have to cut her out of my life, and my brothers also feel the same way. So what I really want to know is whether I'd be the bad guy if I did that. WIBTA for wanting to cut my mother out of my life despite the promise I made to my father in the end. Update 1. Hey, so thank you so much for all the supportive comments. And thank you so much for everything that you guys have said, for being so kind to me and my brothers. And honestly, going through the comments has given me a lot of perspective and clarity on the whole situation. And I think my brothers and I have decided that we want to cut it out of our lives. There is just no other option. I wish it could be some other way, I really do, because this is extremely painful and difficult. And I really didn't want it to end this way. But after everything that's happened, I just don't see any other way out of it. The more I try to think of a conclusion to all of this, where I can still stay on good terms with my mother, the more awful I feel about everything because I was there for this woman all along. We were all there for her, yet she chose to prioritize Nathan, and I just can't accept it. I think on some level she must know that what she's doing is messed up. I'm not saying that she doesn't have the right to be happy. Everybody has the right to move on with their lives. But for God's sake, that doesn't mean you start taking everybody else for granted. And moving on with your life, getting married to somebody else and all that, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you start degrading your old partner, especially somebody who had made you the happiest when they were around. And that's not something that I'm saying. My mother herself says it all the time. So I don't understand how she can say that about my father. How she can claim that he was the one great love of her life and then allow her new partner to say such awful things about him. Make up such ridiculous lies about himself just to look better because he's insecure and jealous of somebody who's not even around anymore. I just don't understand it. It's just sad and pathetic. I don't see any reason for her to be with him. I don't understand why she wants to be with him or how he became so important to her that she's willing to let go of her relationship with her kids for his sake. Knowing that he's a liar and a coward. Honestly, I feel like she's degrading herself by being with him. And if this is her choice, if she wants to be with him, and if that makes her happy, then she's free to do so, but I'm not going to be a part of this nonsense anymore. I think I've played along enough. I've stayed silent for a long time, and I can't do this anymore. It's not fair to me, and it's definitely not fair to my father. So out of respect for him and myself, I'm going to stay out of this, and I'm going to cut her out of my life. And I think my brothers are going to do the same. It's going to hurt. I know that for a fact. but I don't know what else we could have done in this situation, and now I've come to terms with it. We did our best. That's good enough for us. Update 2. Hey, so it's been 2 weeks since my previous update, and ever since my last conversation with my mom, I've not had any contact with her. Same goes for my brothers as well, and we've only been talking to each other. We don't even talk about what happened with our mom and everything. We actively try to avoid that topic because honestly, it's just too fresh and painful right now. And my mother has also not made any attempts to get in touch with us. The last time that we spoke was the day after Nathan's birthday, when she gave us an ultimatum that we could either apologize to both of them publicly or we could stay out of her life. We were in our hometown for a couple of days after that, but then we all went back to our old lives, and it's been a good distraction since then. So yeah, that's what's been up for the past 2 weeks. But then today, my eldest brother called me up in the morning and told me that our mother had apparently sent him a message the previous night saying that she was sorry about everything, that she probably should not have allowed him to make up all those lies. And now that she thinks about it, she does see how we could have thought that it was problematic that he was making up these things. But in reality, she was only trying to give us a safe sense of security and familiarity. She said that even Nathan says that it was never a competition with our father. He had never intended for us to take it that way, and I call BS and all that. Because let's not forget that he constantly made that one stupid joke, that he was the real vet in the family. And if that's not meant to be taken as a direct insult to my father, then what is? He was obviously implying that he was the better guy just because he thought that his version of being a vet, of actually having served in the military, was more impressive than whatever my father did. So now it's very evident that they're just trying to make up excuses for their behavior instead of taking accountability for it. And it's so disappointing because they really think that we are stupid, that we're going to fall for this. My brother's also been very upset, and my other brother, the one who's engaged, when we told him about all of this, was equally disappointed. Honestly, it's come to a point where we don't even feel angry anymore. It's just disappointment in our mother. Because we just can't seem to understand how she's dealing with all of this and how she thinks that any of this is okay. After all, she was also part of that promise that we had made to our father that at any cost we were going to keep our family together. This is not the way to do it. Anyway, my brother had called us to ask if we should reply to it or not, and obviously we immediately told him that there was no need to do so. What were we even supposed to say to that? We obviously don't believe in any of it. Nobody in their right mind would buy a nonsensical excuse like this, and I really don't want to argue with her. I just don't have the energy to do this anymore. If she thinks she can just keep justifying herself and keep making excuses, then she's free to do so, like I said. But expecting us to put up with it is unfair now. We literally exposed her husband as a liar, and this is what she has to say about all of that. It's just sad. Anyway, we've decided that after this, if she decides to text any of us or tries to make up more excuses, we're just going to block her. And right now, we haven't done that because, I don't know, I feel like it's a bit of an extreme step today. And I guess none of us are totally reconciled with the idea of having to cut her off entirely. And besides, there should be some way for her to reach us in case of an emergency or whatever. So we haven't blocked her yet. But let's see what happens in the future. Right now, things are looking too bleak, so we don't know. I can only hope for the best, that's all, because in a situation like this, there's nothing else to be done. Update 3. So it's been a month since my previous update, and 2 days back my brothers and I received an email from Nathan, not from my mom, Nathan himself, and he declared that he was very disappointed in all of us, that we had decided to punish our mother for something that she was trying to do only for our own good, because apparently that's what the intention was behind lying to all of us about his military career. They actually expected us to believe that they were only doing that because that would make us feel safer somehow. I mean, we're not kids. We were all grown-ups when Nathan became part of our lives, so I really don't think that this is the way to have done it. And actually, even if we were children, he would have still been pretty messed up. But anyway, that's because we refuse to believe that bogus theory. He thinks that it's okay for him to reach out to us and say that we're punishing our mother wrongfully and that he is disappointed in us, as if we actually care about what he feels about any of this. He's the most irrelevant person ever, and it was infuriating that he even believes that he has the right to talk to us. Anyway, in the email, he said that our little stunt did not break him, and he's made of stronger materials than that. And he's proud of whatever he has accomplished in his life, military or not, and he's not going to let us ruin that for him. He said that he's happy with our mom, she's happy with him, and that's all that matters to them. And if we cannot deal with the fact that our mother has moved on and has a new life now, then that's our problem, not hers. He's not going to let us hurt her anymore. It was pretty stupid, and honestly, I was enraged and I really wanted to reply, but my brother and I eventually decided that there was no point in talking to him clearly. There's something deeply wrong with him because I don't know any normal person who would act in such a way and think that it was okay. So whatever. He can say whatever he wants. It doesn't matter. I haven't blocked my mom yet. Neither have my brothers, because I guess there's some hope that we are still clinging onto. But other than that, we're done with this whole situation. It hurts. All of this is pretty sad and painful, and I wish it could have been different, but it's not. Then I will do my best to deal with it. My brothers and I are together, and that's good enough for me, I guess. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.